Welcome back to the Ross Bolen podcast presented by Bolen Media. I am Ross Bolen here with producer Kade Orris. Kade, say hello.
Hello.
Kade, I am emotionally exhausted.
And why is that?
Sports related, but the Houston Astros, for whom I root, are now 2 wins away from once again making the World Series. Would be the 3rd consecutive year. This is their 7th consecutive season to make the American League Championship Series. And everybody keeps talking about, like every broadcast when I tune in for the games, they talk about how exhausting it is for the players to go this deep into the postseason consistently, year after year after year. But nobody talks about the fans. And I'm tired, boss. My nerves are shot. Like, I'm thankful that a team I'm a huge fan of is having this kind of run, but holy hell, it is an emotional roller coaster every October. And currently the Astros are playing the Arlington Rangers, and there's obviously a rivalry between those two teams, being that they are the 2 MLB teams in Texas, and because Houston and Dallas despise each other, and Dallas claims the Rangers. But things got taken to another level this year because the Rangers hijacked one of my favorite 1990s rock bands, Creed. Kate, are you aware that I'm a huge fan of the band known as Creed?
I have been seeing some tweets by you, but I didn't know you're like a diehard fan of theirs.
So you know how everybody makes fun of Nickelback?
Yeah.
Like Nickelback kind of became a meme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they've got a few songs that like everybody knows, or at least everybody my age. Yeah, they've got a few songs that go. I famously saw Nickelback live once at the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion in Houston, and a hell of a show that Nickelback put on. I won't lie. But, you know, that being said, I obviously get why they're kind of mocked widely, Nickelback. Creed kind of got like dragged into that meme box with Nickelback.
I was listening to some of their stuff before. I was like, this kind of sounds like some Nickelback shit.
It's got slight Nickelback vibes. I would argue Nickelback is a little softer, and Creed is more for like bad boys who also love Christ. There's like weird Christian themes mixed into some of Creed's music, almost unnecessarily at times. But like, Creed is just one of these bands from the 90s that's like, you know, like Pearl Jam gets taken seriously.
Yeah.
Like respected for their art. Whereas like Nickelback and also kind of Creed are a little bit of a joke.
Yeah, they get mocked a lot.
And that's partially, I think, in Creed's case, because, really in both of their cases, because their lead singer is just kind of a giant douche. Like Scott Stapp, the lead singer of Creed, is kind of just like the ultimate 90s rock douchebag. And back in the 90s, a lot of what, you know, seemed cool at the time has not aged well. In terms of style in particular. Now, some of it has come back in a big way, and 90s fashion is kind of hot again because fashion is cyclical, and it's been fucking 30 years. The 90s were so long ago, dude. When were you born?
97. So I was at the tail end of
the
it.
90s.
Yeah.
End of the 90s, baby. I was 87. So yeah, like the 90s was the bulk of my childhood. And my parents used to jam Creed. Like, Creed was always on, like, 94.5 The Buzz, which was, like, the alternative rock station in Houston, Texas.
Hell yeah.
And, yeah, dude, that's exactly right. That's the exact response I'm looking for. Hell yeah. That's just kind of what Creed makes you feel. It's a hell yeah 1990s ridiculous rock band. But, like, low-key had an unbelievable run. Like, for those who are somehow unaware of Creed, let's turn to Wikipedia. It says Creed is an American rock band from Tallahassee, Florida, formed in 1994. So Florida, heart of the 90s, hard to get more American than that. It says Creed was prominent in the post-grunge movement of the late 1990s and early 2000s, releasing 3 consecutive multi-platinum albums, with their album Human Clay in 1999 being certified diamond. So This is before streaming, bro.
Right.
Do you even know how platinum and gold and diamond worked before streaming?
I mean, it's kind of like along the same lines. It's like you had to like purchase the CD and that counted as like a.
That was it.
Yeah.
There was no singles. There was none of that shit counted. No streams of
They didn't have
individual
like
songs.
iTunes or anything.
None of that. None of that existed. The internet was barely born at this point. And so to become platinum, you had to sell 1 million albums. Diamond was 10 million individual fucking CDs, man. And so to go platinum back in the day or diamond back in the day versus now it was a totally different ballgame. And I mean, you could just argue that like music is a lot more accessible now. You don't have to go to fucking Warehouse Music and purchase the album.
Yeah, you don't have to go to Best Buy and cop a CD.
By shuffling through the you'd have to go over to the letter C in Best Buy and then go through all the other C bands and find the most recent Creed album.
And then hope that they have it.
Yeah, because they were probably sold out because it turns out Human Clay sold 10 million freaking albums. So they sold over 28 million records in the United States total. They've sold over 53 million albums worldwide, and Creed was the 9th best-selling musical act of the 2000s. So they made a lot of money. They had a lot of success, did a lot of touring, okay? And the Rangers have made Creed like the unofficial band of their team. You know how like the Phillies, their fans sing that one song or whatever, like as a fan base that you know what I'm talking about? No,
absolutely.
You don't know. Yeah, you're looking at me like you don't know. I can't remember what the song is off the top of my head. Google it for me. Phillies song. But their fans all sing one song. Like for European soccer fans, there's a lot of this that goes on. Like they sing like "Sweet Caroline" in the stands or whatever. Like these teams sometimes harness the power of different songs and bands in an effort to bring their fans and players together.
Okay, I think I found it. It's called Dancing on My Own.
Dancing on My Own, right.
Okay.
And they have like the shittiest version of it, the Phillies fans, for whatever reason. They did not adopt the original version of Dancing on My Own.
Yeah, saying it's a Scott's remix with Tiesto of Robin's hit single, Dancing on My Own.
But it's by like Callum Scott is
Yeah.
the dude that they're like crediting Dancing on My Own. Robin is the singer of Dancing on My Own, if you ask me. That's a jam.
Wait, so the Callum Scott one is like a cover?
It's like a yes. Yeah.
Okay, because I have that one. I didn't know it was a cover.
No, you got to get the OG. You got to get the Robin
Really?
one.
Okay.
It is so good. It is so much better. Dancing on My Own goes hard. But anyway, the point is the Rangers have taken Creed, and in particular their song Higher, which is probably the worst Creed hit, and they play it like before games, and they're utilizing Creed vibes, and it's worked fairly well for them because they got to the ALCS this year. Now, as a big Astros and Creed fan, this obviously upset me deeply. And Creed is also like, it's like a bit for me too. Like I make a lot of Creed jokes on Twitter and talk about how if anybody needs me, I'll be in the garage lifting weights and jamming Creed.
Yeah.
And it's like a joke, but that's like a real thing I do. Like that's a real part of my life. Like I regularly listen to Creed music by choice. And it's kind of funny, but it also goes incredibly fucking hard.
I never would have guessed that. Like, you never struck me as like I just jam Creed all the time.
Well, part of it is because, again, like growing up in the 90s, like my dad listened almost exclusively to like post-grunge rock.
Yeah.
So there was like a lot of Nirvana, a lot of Pearl Jam. I guess Nirvana counts as more grunge, but like a lot of Pearl Jam, a lot of Creed, a lot of that shit on 94.5 The Buzz, like I was exposed to constantly. So it's a little nostalgic for me, but also there is just a lot of that goes incredibly hard. Creed included. And I was pissed when I found out about the Rangers and Creed. I was like, motherfuckers. Because, like, everybody who has listened to this show for a long enough time is aware that I am not a huge fan of the city of Dallas. And the Rangers apply to that equation. Like, Houston and Dallas, big rivalry, big sports rivalry, big people rivalry, too, though. Like, outside of sports, these cities do not like each other. And the Rangers haven't been good during this Astros run over the past 7 years. This is the first year where we had like a real divisional.
Is this the first time they made the playoffs?
In that run?
Yeah.
I believe so. They went through like a full rebuild. When I was in college, the Rangers made the World Series twice.
Yeah.
And I believe both times they came within one out, maybe even one strike of winning the World Series, and they lost, which at the time I was kind of like, because the Astros sucked then. And I had a couple of my best friends were like diehard Rangers fans, and I felt kind of bad for them. I was like, damn, I would fucking lose my mind if we came within 1 out twice, 2 years in a row, and lost both times. So they went through a rebuild phase. They haven't been good. This is the first season they've really been good again that I've had to talk shit with Rangers fans, and they're all bringing up 2017 and the stupid fucking sign stealing scandal, and it's annoying as shit on top of all the other Dallas crap that I've got going on. So I don't like the Rangers. I like their team. They're a good team. Nobody on their team in particular that I can pinpoint and say, like, I really don't like this player. It's not that kind of rivalry.
You respect, like, their game.
Absolutely. I just hate their fucking fans.
Yeah.
And with the exception of some that I'm really good friends with. But for the most part, like, the rivalry online this season, grew more and more and more and more heated, and now it's reached this fever pitch as we're playing each other in the ALCS to try to get to the World Series, and on top of that, they fucking hijacked Creed. And so I was like, we lost the first 2 games of the series, and they're over there jamming Creed, having the time of their lives, and I'm sitting here about to fucking snap. I'm about to go nuts. Until then, one of the things I said this on my show, Banging the Can, where I talk about Houston sports regularly. That's the theme of the entire podcast. Today, we're just touching on it. I was like, they got to have Creed show up, right? Like, they got to get him to the stadium. They got to have him sing the national anthem. They got to do something here.
Right.
And they did. Creed showed up, game 3 of the series in Arlington, and the Astros have been beating the Rangers' ass ever since, which makes me feel so much better, because I was like, there's going to be a Creed curse. I'm going to have to abandon my favorite 90s band.
You can never listen to Creed again.
Can't listen to Creed again. Fuck me. And now I feel like it's the reverse. Like, they have the Creed curse. Maybe they have to abandon Creed, and I can keep it as my own, which is nice. So it's kind of like trying to harness the power of Creed is a dangerous game. It's kind of like trying to harness the power of the Ring in Lord of the Rings. Like, no one man or team should have all that power. And I feel like I've found a way to do it in the gym with Creed, and I want to be able to keep that pure without having to think about the fucking Rangers every time I go to jam.
Yeah, it's kind of like having like a song that you used to listen to with your ex.
Yeah.
And every time you hear that song,
it's exactly like that.
You can't listen to it anymore.
It ruins it.
It brings bad memories.
This happens with movies and shit too. You ever have like a significant other that you guys like, let's say you love Star Wars. You're just two dorks.
Yeah.
You just can't get enough Star Wars. Fucking Vader just turns you both on.
Yeah.
Then you break up. Star Wars is ruined for you for a while. Like, eventually in time, you can probably take it back. It can be done.
Darth Vader will get you going again.
Yeah, you can rejoin the dark side, but it'll take time and healing. And it becomes like a part of your grieving process for that relationship. Eventually, one day, you realize, oh, I can watch Return of the Jedi and not cry.
Yeah.
And that's a huge day for you. And I didn't want to have to go through that with Creed. I didn't want to have to do that. And I don't know if there's still a chance I might have to, just to be clear. But I feel pretty good about it where we're at right now.
No, you guys are looking pretty solid right now.
Yeah, we've been crushing the baseball. So anyway, in honor of Creed's presence in Arlington leading to 2 consecutive Astros road wins, here's my definitive list of best Creed songs for all of you to enjoy, especially those of you who might be a little younger, might be like Cade's age or younger, and not have a fucking clue what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, go try these songs. Just make a little playlist on your Spotify or your Apple Music, title it Creed, and then add these like 8 or 9 songs I'm about to name to it, and see what happens. See if you don't want to go throw around some fucking steel in the gym or get into a mosh pit. All right? First one, With Arms Wide Open. All-time great. With arms wide open. Everybody knows that song. Everybody knows that song. Everybody loves that song. It's a great song. Next is My Sacrifice. I'm not going to sing each one of these. I'm just going to list them. My Sacrifice is number 2. Number 3 is What If, which is the entire chorus is just...
What if?
What if, what if, what if I... It goes hard. Number 4 is One Last Breath. Number 5 is one that I've been recently addicted to. What's This Life For is the title. Number 6 is My Own Prison. Number 7 is Are You Ready? Number 8 is simply titled One. But for some reason, when they sing the song, you think they're saying Wong.
Like you're
like,
just talking
Wong.
about like a...
Oh, Wong. Yeah, it doesn't, I don't know why, but it makes it even funnier. There's a lot of comedy in Creed. You got to appreciate it. All right? It's not just bangers. It's also laughs, too. The last one I have on my list is Higher. That one's not that good, and also the Rangers bumped it all the way down to the bottom for me because that's the one that they
that's
love.
like the only one I recognize like off the top. I'm sure I've heard some of these other ones in like, I don't know, movies or TV shows or something.
I was trying to think of like where you would be exposed to Creed if you didn't grow up when I did, and like I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Because like some maybe Higher has been in like a Spider-Man or something.
Higher has definitely been in a movie.
But I don't know where you would get exposed to like one or, some of these other ones. Anyway, they're great jams from Creed. Go add those to your playlist and enjoy yourselves jamming out to some Creed, as long as the Rangers don't come back and win this series, because then no one is allowed to listen to it.
I feel like I always see Creed, like their halftime show for Thanksgiving. Was that
the Dallas Cowboys Thanksgiving halftime show?
I always see that video,
yes.
but like I don't know why it always like gets circulated. I guess like
again because it's insanely funny too. Like I think it gets circulated every NFL season.
Yeah,
like beginning of the season, I see it go viral on Twitter and Instagram again. Thanksgiving, it'll do another round. Super Bowl, it'll probably come back out, and you see that clip, and it's like Scott Stapp way over dramatically singing, I believe, Higher.
Yeah. And
a dude doing some kind of ribbon dance, but like on a giant thing that like lifts him up into the sky, and he's like, it's like Cirque du Soleil style. It's absurd. That's another good job bringing that up, because if you've never seen Creed's halftime performance, just Google it. Creed, Dallas Cowboys, and watch that video. It is
when are they going to
nonsensical.
get a Super Bowl halftime show? I feel like they're due for one.
I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I feel like their window is closed, They were doing like it would have had to be by like 2010.
Yeah.
Because now it's too late. Like if they announced that Creed was doing the halftime show in 2025,
I don't think anyone would care.
People would be like, wow, the NFL really fell off.
Yeah.
What, couldn't get Taylor Swift?
Exactly.
But just to be frank, I would rather have Creed than Usher.
Well, that's because you don't like Usher.
I don't like Usher for personal reasons.
Yeah.
I like Usher's music. I just don't think it leads to a badass halftime show. Like that.
Yeah, because he's going to be doing like a lot of R&B, and that doesn't really get the people going.
No, exactly.
Confessions. Pops and pads,
Confessions is a sad song.
Yeah.
The only song he has that will get people out of their seat is Yeah.
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 Exactly. Anyway, moving on. Today's episode is brought to you by MyBookie. If you're looking for a sports book or want to switch to a sports book that sponsors your favorite podcast, MyBookie has everything you need, from the MLB postseason to college football and the NFL, NBA preseason going on currently, golf, hockey. If there's a sporting event you're looking to get action on, MyBookie has you covered. Just go to mybookie.ag and use code ROSS when you make your first deposit to unlock a welcome bonus. Stipulations apply. As a bettor, you demand perfection, and MyBookie delivers. NFL, college football, and a brand new cash-out system gives you options to bet and win all season long. First two legs of your parlay hit? Cash out early and use the funds on another bet, or let it ride for the chance at a bigger payday. Join the MyBookie family for an entire season filled with odds, boosts, free bets, and super contests. To get started, go to mybookie.ag now and register for an account free. When you're ready to make your first deposit, just use promo code ROSS to support our show and grab that welcome bonus on the house. That's promo code ROSS to claim your deposit bonus. So what are you waiting for? If you're already betting on sports elsewhere and are down to do so on a great platform that also supports your favorite podcast, code ROSS at mybookie.ag is the way to do it, folks. Just use code ROSS to unlock that deposit bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Speaking of sports, I saw a video on Twitter telling the incredible story of this man, Dennis Drinkwater, who, between his name and his story, I think he's probably my favorite sports fan of all time now. So he's a huge Boston sports guy. That's the only knock I would say I have
Knocks
against
him. Down on your
He's
list.
like,
He's probably like 2 or 3 in your top 5 sports fans.
Even consider, okay, so like Goldwater, the NBA guy who dresses like Jack Sparrow and sits courtside at like $500,000 worth of games a year. He's probably my favorite. I can't remember his first name. Google that for me. NBA superfan. I think his last name is Goldwater, if I'm not mistaken. But he's probably my number one. I think
Goldstein.
There you go. I think Dennis Drinkwater is my number 2, right behind this dude that's a huge NBA fan. But this guy, Drinkwater, massive Boston sports fan, huge Red Sox fan, who has had seats right behind home plate for over 2 decades. And as this video gets into, Mr. Drinkwater got his money by starting a local auto glass repair company in 1969 called Giant Glass. Okay, and he built Giant Glass into a huge New England-based company headquartered in North Andover, and he later sold it to a national company, Safelite Auto Glass, in 2012. I'm assuming he made many millions of dollars based on the fact that at one point, under his ownership, Giant Glass became a giant sponsor of Fenway Park, where the Red Sox play. So they had like huge signage up in you know, when you're watching a baseball game.
All over the stadiums, yeah.
Real distinct though, real simple, yellow background, black letters, Giant Glass, and they had like one behind home plate too. And when he became like, the Red Sox got new ownership in I think 2001, and that's when Mr. Drinkwater approached the ownership about sponsorship. And when he signed on, they were like, you can pick any 4 seats in the stadium. They're yours. And he chose 4 seats right behind home plate, where he has sat in over 95% of Red Sox home games ever since. So like this dude's always there. And he's not like Marlins man where he's dressed like a jackass and you pick him out of the crowd because you're like, oh, there's that fucking doucher. Marlins man, not on my list, by the way. This is a real sports fan here. Drinkwater. Marlins man, I don't like that guy. But so this dude's behind home plate every Red Sox home game for the most part. Now, in this video I stumbled across on Twitter, Dennis Drinkwater is described as, quote, the greatest beat the traffic guy of all time. Now, Kade, do you even know like what that means?
I do, yeah. I actually just had this experience 2 weeks ago at ACL.
Oh,
so
yeah. Good example of a time to beat the traffic.
He was like, they cut off his mic and people were like waiting around like, oh, is he like gonna keep going? And I quickly realized, I'm like, he's not. So I'm gonna get the fuck out of here and try to get home before everyone else.
Yeah, so every especially parents, like this is a dad move.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because when you're at like a baseball game with the kids and it's already late, they wanted to leave in the 5th fucking inning. You've had to make it 4 innings past that. Like, you realize in the 9th inning, 8th inning, somewhere towards the end, like, all right, if we don't get out of here now, we may never. Because when you leave a sporting event at the very end, just like when you leave a music festival after the closer, it's a sea of people all leaving at once. The parking lot is a disaster. The highway's backed up. Like, it is chaos. Like, getting out of Texans games in Houston can be a nightmare. Plus, half the people are drunk. So they can't drive. They're fucking backing into each other. Fights are breaking out. It's chaos. So this dude, Dennis Drinkwater, as one example, during one of Manny Ramirez's most iconic at-bats, he hit a walk-off home run in the 2007 ALDS. And this dude, Dennis, is sitting in his seats right behind home plate. And when you watch the replay of this at-bat from Manny Ramirez, he makes contact with the ball, and 0.55 seconds later, before the camera even cuts to the ball's flight over the fence, Dennis Drinkwater is up out of his fucking seat and hightailing it to the car.
He just knew it was gone. It was out of here.
Crack of the bat, this dude knew that's a homer. This game is over. And he's up out of his seat and like elbowing the guy next to him out of the way so that he can get into the aisle and like bolt from the stadium. Which, like, again, in the replay, you see Manny. You see him make contact, and then this old man, I mean, probably in his 60s or at that point, jumps up out of his seat and just starts going towards, like, you never see this, ever. That's how good of a beat the traffic guy this guy is. Like, he is dedicated to the game of beating the traffic. He did this again. What's up?
Oh, no, you're good.
He did this again after David Ortiz hit a walk-off home run in Game 4 of the 2004 ALCS. And before the ball lands, again, he's out of his seat. He's making his way to the aisle to get to his car before anyone else and make sure he beats traffic. Apparently, traffic out of Red Sox games can be pretty heavy.
I imagine so, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, all these people are going to be, like, staying longer to, like, you know, celebrate the win and everything. And he's
especially
like,
with a walk-off, yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, no, at this perfect opportunity, I'm going to just hightail it out of here.
And it's just dad thinking, because it's like the celebration after the fact is wildly unnecessary. like standing there and like continuing to clap, like we fucking did it.
Yeah.
You leaving right there, you're missing nothing. Like you're not I mean, you can soak up the moment, but that's not what dads do, and that's not what Dennis Drinkwater does, because he's got places to be.
Right, you don't want to be stuck in traffic.
Exactly.
Like that blows.
It does. It's the fucking worst. And sometimes the high of a big moment like that, a walk-off home run, can be kind of smothered when you get out of the stadium and you realize, like, oh, we're gonna be stuck in this traffic for an hour and a half trying to get home. It can ruin it. So I respect it. This dude is spending a lot of money for that sponsorship, even if the tickets are free. And he's still psychotic enough of a fan to attend 95% of home games over a 20-year period. And still, he is sitting there with the game on the line in multiple massive postseason moments, preparing to beat the rest of the fans out of the stadium just so he doesn't get stuck in traffic. It's perhaps the greatest dad move and just ultimate grind boy move in the history of sports fandom. He has also attended, Dennis Drinkwater, over 50 Super Bowls. At one point, he had attended 50 straight Super Bowls. 50. 5-0.
What number are they on now?
I have no idea. This was a while back that this was reported, that he had been to 50 straight Super Bowls. He attended almost all of the Final Four tournaments in the 1980s. So the Final Four every time he's there in the 80s. He attended 250 straight home and away New York Giants games from 1986 to 2001. So if you're like, what the hell? I thought he was a big Boston guy. No Patriots? Apparently, he was a Giants fan before the Patriots even existed. Like his family was all New York Giants fans. And he's like that loyal to the soil. He refused to switch just because.
Damn, he missed out on so many.
Well,
really
I guess
he didn't, because he was at those Super Bowls.
Yeah, true. But well, I mean, yeah, in terms of like ring collecting,
But yeah,
the Patriots went on quite a run.
There's been 57 Super Bowls, I guess, and so he went to 50 straight
Somehow.
That's okay. Wow.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I don't know.
He's a psycho. He's also been to the Masters, NBA championships, the Stanley Cup Finals, and the Kentucky Derby. So just a all-around psycho sports fan and the greatest beat the traffic guy of all time. If you want to watch the video that inspired this segment, and provided a lot of the information for it, it's on my Twitter timeline at WR Bolen. I quote tweeted the original dude who shared it, who's at Jake_Yasi, YASI. He, inspired me to do my own research online about Dennis Drinkwater. That's how much I love this story. It's a great one. Respect, Dennis Drinkwater. We've got a new sponsor today, and one that is so good they have gotten me to switch to their brand entirely. So listen up. Today's episode is brought to you by Lucy. Lucy makes tobacco-free nicotine for people to focus better, think deeper, chill out smoother, and inspire creativity. I had one of their pouches right before recording, and I feel creatively inspired. I know you can feel the energy, Kade. So what makes Lucy unique? We're talking 100% pure, tobacco-free nicotine. You'll never find tobacco in any of their products, ever. Lucy pouches are available in 5 strengths, from 2 milligrams to 12 milligrams, and 12 different flavors: cinnamon, mint, which has been my go-to this week. They got mango, wintergreen, pomegranate, apple ice, and espresso. Lucy has the perfect balance of nicotine and flavor, and in their Breakers pouches, there's a little ball you can bust for an additional flavor burst, which is awesome. I've been crushing Breakers left and right. Lucy is superior to any other pouches I've tried, and they're juicy. Not going to leave your mouth dry, which is huge. If you're a pouch user, you know how annoying that can be. Whether you use nicotine to focus better, get a boost in energy, or to chill and relax, Lucy is made for your nicotine routine. If you want to try Lucy's tobacco-free Breakers, pouches, or gum, go to lucy.co/RBP and use promo code RBP to get 20% off your first order. Lucy's offers free shipping and has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. That's lucy.co and use code RBP to get 20% off and always free shipping. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. In honor of Dennis Drinkwater's undeniable dad move of being the greatest beat the traffic guy of all time, I was dropping my kids off at school yesterday, which still feels weird saying that. One weird transition in life, when you get married and you having to start say my wife, like when you have to refer to your wife, that feels weird for like a year. You're like, this is so strange that I'm calling somebody my wife. This is another one for me when I'm like, oh yeah, I dropped the kids off at school. Like it makes me feel so old. It ages me internally. But I was dropping the kids off at school and I was walking past this dad on my way in. Like his kid, he had a stroller with a baby in it, and then probably like a 4-year-old. So similar setup to me. And the 4-year-old little girl had like stopped to try to pet a cat in the woods walking up to the school. And so we were 5 minutes late already. So like this dude was definitely in a hurry like I was. And this guy's just standing there watching his child pet this cat with his shoulders slumped. And he just let out the most defeated sigh as I passed him. Just like, ah. And that made me write down best dad noises as a segment for today's show. And the defeated sigh is definitely up there. I can't tell you how often now in my house, like as another example, I cleaned up the kids' playroom where there were 500 fucking toys out on the ground. Cleaned it up. Took me 30 minutes. Got everything put away. I left the room, took a shit. I came back out, and like half of it was back out onto the floor. Like the 4-year-old is a tornado. She had like already ripped everything out. It was everywhere. And I just went, because you can't, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? The toys are there for them to play with. You're, as an adult in your mind, you're like, there shouldn't be shit out everywhere. And I'm kind of a neat freak. So like I'll tell you, with 2 kids and 4 dogs, it's challenging because my house is fucking filthy all the time.
It's a losing battle for sure.
Just constant losing battle. There's no win situation here. So I'm doing a lot of defeated sighs. There's also a lot of like, and this is typically older dads. Like you got to get up in like your 40s, I think, but there's a lot of grunting that goes on.
Just random like, grunt noises. Yeah.
Just nonverbal reactions to things, and grunting becomes like a regular part of it.
Especially when you're like sitting down or getting up, I feel like is when you hear it the most.
It's also because of all the random aches and pains that your body starts to produce the older you get for no reason. And this shit starts in like your late 20s. Like when one day you'll wake up, Kate, and they'll just be like, your elbow will hurt. And you'll be like, fuck, what the fuck did I do to my elbow? And then it'll just never go away, and that'll just be your elbow for the rest of your fucking life.
Will feel.
It sucks. It sucks ass. Like to be truthful, I had a shoulder thing at one point where I was like, my shoulder just hurts all the time, every day now. What the fuck? This is just my life, I guess, forever. It's gonna drive me insane. I'm gonna die like this. And then it went away at some point. It's like gone. It's gone. I don't know how. I like tweaked it back into place or something. My shoulder doesn't hurt anymore, so that's huge. I don't have to grunt as much as a result. Another great dad noise: incoherent string of curses under your breath. So because you can't cuss in front of the kids, you have to establish this like under your breath mumbling curse like spree that occur, and it happens to me regularly where I'll be like walking away from a frustrating parenting situation like, motherfucking son of a bitch, god damn it, I can't fucking believe this shit. What the fuck am I supposed to do? God son of a bitch. And that becomes like a regular part of it. But to anybody who's not you, it just sounds like this. It's like in Home Alone. You know how Marv and Harry in Home Alone, the 2 burglars?
Yeah.
They're not allowed to cuss. It's a kid's movie.
Right.
So like when one of them gets hit in the head with a brick, and it's the short one, who I believe is Marv. Or no, Marv is the tall one, maybe.
Yeah.
Or whatever. The short one goes frickin'. He just makes a bunch of random words up that you know what he's trying to say, but he can't say fuck, shit, piss, cock.
Yeah.
So he's just sitting there, frickin'. There's also an example from the movie A Christmas Story when the dad goes down into the basement to do battle with the furnace. He lets out a string of curses, but those are pretty decipherable. You can kind of hear what he's saying, so they're not as incoherent.
They didn't change it by saying fudge.
No, actually, I think you're right. I don't think you can understand it because they couldn't play that movie on repeat on AMC for 24 hours a day every Christmas if he was dropping a bunch of F-bombs.
Right.
So maybe that does apply to what I'm trying to say here. Another great dad noise, obvious one, snoring.
And it's like a different kind of snoring too.
Yeah, it's like a deep, disgruntled snore.
Yeah. Like they're just so exhausted from
dadding.
Yeah, just the wear and tear on them. You kind of like go up a level in snoring, I feel like.
I thought that was going to be avoidable, by the way, the wear and tear you're speaking of. Like, I remember seeing dads in old old men when I was a child and being like, God, look at this beaten down piece of shit. What a fucking loser. Guy's got no energy left. Oh man, I'm right there. I got nothing in the tank ever. And that's unavoidable. I think it happens even if you don't have kids. Like you just get up into your late 30s, into your 40s, and like you don't have the energy anymore. Everything is fucking exhausting. And so you snore more deeply as a result. And it is a disturbing noise often. Like the thing that it makes me think of like Thanksgiving when all my dad and his two brothers, my uncles, and like they would all get together and all my cousins would be there and we'd all be running around playing football and acting like psychos for hours. And like by the end of Thanksgiving, at least one of these uncles would be passed out on the couch, football game on the TV, just like violently snoring in a way that was terrifying to children. A lot of grunting, a lot of incoherent cursing, snoring. There's like a throat clear that older men do that's like guttural. It's not like just like a simple like, it's like deep and raw and powerful in a way that I don't even think I can replicate yet.
You haven't gotten to that point yet.
I'm not at that level.
Yeah.
But maybe one day. Also, just shamelessly ripping a fart is kind of is a dad noise that I feel like that's just part of it, man. Like I think when you have kids, especially if you have like a son, when you're a dad, it reconnects you to that childhood joy of like thinking farts are funny, and you just embrace that fully by letting it rip. There's also just layers of shame that fall away the older you get. Like you just stop caring what other people think, and farting is an art that is reborn at that point. And then there's the sports roar, since we've been talking about sports so much today. There's like a celebratory noise that dads make when something good happens in a sporting event that is different than in any other phase in life. And it's more animalistic. And I'm definitely getting some of that because I've been watching a lot of baseball with my stepdaughter, the 4-year-old. First of all, she doesn't know what the fuck is going on. It's so funny. She'll be like, which team is our team? And I'm like, today it's the orange team, sweetie. And she's like, okay. And the other guys are the bad guys? I'm like, that's right. Those are the bad guys.
Yeah.
And like these past two games the Astros have played in Arlington, she's watched a few of the innings with me at the beginning while the baby was getting put to bed by my wife. And big things happened for the Astros. And I like jump off the couch and did a sports roar like, oh, yeah. Because again, I can't cuss.
Right.
So I'm just having to do like animal noises. And she gets so stoked. When I get stoked, it's the best feeling because I've been having to watch a lot of these games by myself, and that's even more stressful because you just like my wife will come down and check on me. She's like, "Is it going good? Are we winning?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're doing great." She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go take a bath," and I'm like, "Oh, god damn it!" So ironically, I've been calling my dad a lot because I'm like, I can't fucking do this by myself.
Hey, y'all, you're just watching the game and something good happens. You both do the sports roar.
Both of us are just roaring back and forth at each other. Yeah, it's actually been kind of fun, but it's frustrating because my TV is faster than his. So he'll be like 30 seconds behind me sometimes. So what I've been having to do is like ask him like, all right, what do you see on the screen right now? And then I have to rewind my shit, like hit the 10-second back button on YouTube TV a few times until we're lined up so I'm not spoiling it and so our roars are lined up.
Yeah, otherwise you're roaring before him.
Yeah,
and then
ruining the moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Is there like you were saying like you do a sports roar when there's like good plays. Is there one for bad plays that you do, or is it just the incoherent string of curses under your breath?
That's when you bring in the defeated sigh or the incoherent string of curses under your breath, or maybe even ripping a fart at that point might make you feel better. But yeah, there's a few options for the bad moments, and I've had to bring those out too. Anyway, there's the best dad noises according to me. Got an insane headline of the day for you. 4th graders left traumatized after teacher played Winnie the Pooh horror film in class, parents say. Now, do you remember when we covered the release of this movie, Kade?
I do. I think you and Jared.
No, it was just me.
It was just you?
I think, again, ironically, it was the episode where I did the birth of RJ Bolen, and it was just me talking about the experience and the story of his birth and like going to the hospital.
Yeah.
And then after I did that like 45-minute segment, I just tacked on this Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey story at the very end of the episode for some reason. It was in February of this year. And this horror film, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, was made for less than $100,000. And it takes all of Milne, the author of Winnie the Pooh's endearing characters, the famous talking teddy bear and his friend Piglet. They suffer from starvation after Christopher Robin, the young boy, leaves them for college and is no longer around to feed them. So it's kind of like Winnie the Pooh meets Brave Little Toaster in some ways.
Right.
And anyway, they starve, so they kill and eat their friend, the donkey, Eeyore, and then they set off on a murderous spree. So it's like a really fucked up movie. And if you remember that segment, the reasoning here, like you're thinking, how are they able to do that? Why would the people who own Winnie the Pooh's IP let them do that? There's like a certain amount of years you have protection under copyright and trademark laws, and it expired. So like anybody can just go make a fucking Winnie the Pooh movie at this point, apparently.
Right, yeah.
So that's how Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey came to be. But this story this week, I'll read you some from Fox. 4th grade students at a Miami school were left traumatized after their teacher put on a horror film for them in class, according to local reports. CBS Miami reports that a math teacher at the Academy of Innovative Education, certainly this is an innovative tactic, it's a K-12 charter school. They played Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey for the students on October 2nd. The movie is a spin on the beloved children's tale reimagined into a disturbing horror film. A demonic-looking Pooh and Piglet turn against their childhood friend Christopher Robin after being abandoned by him when he went off to college. Parents at the Miami school told the media outlet the 4th grade students were the ones who selected the movie, but the teacher agreed to play it without properly vetting its appropriateness. So these kids were like, oh yeah, look, we picked a good movie.
We love Winnie the Pooh.
And the teacher probably went, okay, this must be a Winnie the Pooh that's got some Halloween elements to it, but like didn't realize how disturbing this was going to be.
Yeah, didn't like see didn't even the poster or anything. Yeah,
didn't listen to our show.
Yeah,
the poster's fucked up
didn't look at the trailers. Like, know what? My kids are gonna love this.
Zero research. So parents said the teacher played 20 to 30 minutes of the film before turning it off, even as some terrified kids asked him to stop it sooner, according to CBS Miami, which ends up reading like this is a positive review for the film. Kids in the class were going, oh my God, turn it off. And he was like, now, let's wait and see where this goes. Things are getting interesting. They just ate Eeyore. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, let's see what happens next.
Let's see where this is going. The school confirmed in a statement to CBS Miami that a film was played that was, quote, not suitable for the age group. I'm not sure this is suitable for anyone. The school went on to state that administrators promptly addressed this issue directly with the teacher and has taken appropriate action to ensure the safety and well-being of students. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey was released in February. It is available to stream on Peacock or available to rent on Amazon Prime. This is also funny because this story being reported ends in promoting the movie and where you can watch it.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to get some more eyes on that thing now.
Well, it turns out, according to production company Jagged Edge Productions, the film was the directorial debut for someone named Reese Frake Waterfield, who said the film was shot in just 10 days.
I feel like that's not what you want to hear when someone's filming a movie. Like, you should not take 10 days to make a film.
10 days and under $100K. Filmmakers have announced a sequel, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, will be released in 2024.
Well, I mean, the first one was such a hit.
Yeah.
It has a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't know why they wouldn't do another one.
Hey, 3% is...
It's better than 0.
Better than 1 or 0 or 2.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I love how the premise is like the Christopher Robin's left for college and like Winnie and Piglet are just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to find food anymore.
We don't know how to live.
Like, guys couldn't steal some honey, anything like that. They're just like, you know what, Eeyore, he's got to go.
Yeah, what the hell were they doing before? I mean, Winnie the Pooh was eating the honey from the trees. Yeah. Was Piglet just totally reliant on Christopher Robin for his livelihood?
Yeah, I'm like, what did pigs eat? Like slop or like surely he could have found something else before he
ate his donkey friend?
Yeah.
Poor Eeyore, man.
I mean, you got like Yogi Bear out there, stealing picnic baskets.
Hey, boo-boo.
So I don't know. They just seem like they dropped the ball there. They went to the extreme too quickly, I feel like.
I'm with you.
But I don't know, maybe they changed their ways in the second one, or maybe just do more, I guess. I don't know. Did they kill was it Tigger?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably gone next.
I can't remember that rabbit's name, but that's who I would have killed first and eaten.
Yeah, you
You could
gotta
make
start
like a
off small.
rabbit stew.
Yeah.
There's good stuff you can make with rabbit. What the fuck are you doing with a donkey? They must have really lost it, man.
Yeah,
really
they're
broke them when Christopher Robin hightailed it
they
to
had
fucking junior college.
Emotional and mental meltdown, it seems like. Jeez.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs makes the most comfortable and versatile pants, shorts, and bathing suits in the entire world. I've been wearing Bird Dogs for several years now. They cannot be beaten. I wear them to sleep, to do yard work, to work out, to play golf, to go swimming, to shoot hoops, to do everything. They fit great, they feel great, and they look great. They're all a ton of different colorways and styles, all with funny names like Art Fartknockers, Duffy the Vampire Slayers, Uncle Bucks, and Teddy Rubskins, just to name a few. I have an entire drawer of my dresser occupied solely by Bird Dogs with over 20 pairs in there. So if you want to look like money while you're working in the yard or swimming at the pool or out on the golf course now that the weather is getting cooler, or even out at dinner or the bars, Bird Dogs are the move. Their pants are great for the golf course or the office or going out to dinner. They're sharp. They look sharp. You're going to be way more comfortable than anybody realizes because the Bird Dogs pants are kind of deceiving in that way. They look a lot nicer than you would think they feel, and they're that comfortable. They've also got great looking polo shirts now that are just as comfortable as the pants and shorts. Click on the link in the description below to go to birddogs.com/Bolen and enter code Bolen when you check out, and they will throw in a free Bird Dogs tech hat with your order. It's a beautiful Bird Dogs hat for free when you go to birddogs.com/Bolen. Use code Bolen at checkout. Again, that's birddogs.com/Bolen, code Bolen, to get that free Bird Dogs hat with your order. Another cool story I stumbled across this week revolves around Pete Davidson. And shockingly, not related to anyone he's dating. It's a random one. I'll read from Entertainment Weekly. Pete Davidson says he has purchased somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 sealed VHS tapes. Which, do you know what a VHS tape is, right?
Yeah, I was around that time.
Okay.
It was like coming towards the end of it, though. But
yeah. They got replaced
I had
by
a few DVDs.
laser discs at one point tried to make a push.
Blu-rays.
Those got blown out of the water. Blu-ray came in and knocked out the DVD, and then streaming knocked out all of the aforementioned technologies, and that's what we're left with. So anyway, Pete has 3,000 to 5,000 sealed VHS tapes that he hopes to one day sell for a massive profit. This story came up on Jimmy Fallon, and he said, I started collecting VHSs that were sealed in the box like 3 years ago because I was really high one night. So listen to this, he says. In 2026, it'll be 20 years since the last VHS was made, right? So 20 years goes by. That's enough time for people to be like, oh, that was cool, remember? Like vinyl? So I bought all the sealed ones that exist, like 3,000 to 5,000 tapes. So not just VHS tapes. VHS tapes that have not been taken out of the plastic. Like they're wrapped, they're sealed, like new. And that's what he bought all of the ones he could find. That, in his words, all of the ones that exist that are sealed. Pete Davidson owns them all. Okay? Host Jimmy Fallon and the crowd began to laugh at the absurdity of it all, and Pete Davidson pretended to be outraged, shouting, "You guys sound just like my mom. No one believes in me." It says Fallon then proceeded to show off a series of photographs featuring several boxes of sealed VHS tapes for a variety of films, plus a massive pile of unopened packages that seemed to hold even more. And Pete Davidson said, that's at my assistant's house, and his girlfriend is very mad at him. So apparently he's just shipping all of these boxes of sealed VHS tapes to his poor assistant's house, and they're just sitting
his
there.
His girlfriend's just not pleased about it.
Occupying the entire space. It says, though, it turns out Davidson might actually be onto something, because as he went on to reveal on Jimmy Fallon, he said, quote, as of a month ago, sealed VHSs are now going for $20,000 to $30,000 a pop. He said he just sold Rocky, like Rocky, the Sylvester Stallone boxing movie. He sold it for $27,000. He said, quote, it's my GameStop. I own all of them, dude. Dude, no one believed in me. It's going to happen, you guys. So Pete is a strange cat. Like this is not the first time he's bought something outrageous and it's made news and he's shared the story.
While he was
high.
Yeah.
Yeah, while he was stoned. He bought a ferry at one point. Like, not a ferry, like Tinkerbell, like a fairy, like, you know, that goes across a river or whatever.
Right.
But in this case, I do understand the train of thought. Like, this isn't the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, if I was really rich and I got really high, I could see myself doing this because it's also kind of a cool throwback collector deal. Like you said, comparing it to vinyl, right?
Right.
Like, vinyl had a massive resurgence. Now there's a lot of artists who crush vinyl. Like, Kade, you buy vinyl still.
Yeah, I always get vinyls. I love vinyls.
Yeah. And records have come back in a huge way like that. VHS tapes, it's definitely, it's like a nostalgia factor too. Because when I was a kid, pre-DVD, pre-all this shit, you'd go to Blockbuster and it was just walls and you know, stacks of VHSs and fucking, they had like shelving, just VHSs everywhere. And you would have to go through and like pick out which one you wanted or whatever. And there was a specific smell that came with that, with like being in a Blockbuster too. It was like a mix of VHS, whatever's in there, and then like popcorn and like stale popcorn specifically. But I totally understand the urge to go and stack a bunch of VHSs. The problem is the space, which is what I assume why he's just.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. Well, he might be living at his. I know he's living at his mom's house for like a really long time. I don't know if he's still there.
And his mom's like, "Fuck you, send those to your assistant.
Yeah.
You're not keeping 30,000 VHS tapes in here."
Right.
Or I guess however many
3,000 to 5,000.
3,000 to 5,000. That's just it. That's an insane. That's a lot.
Right.
Dude. That's a lot of VHS tapes. Like he could open a fucking Blockbuster if he can't move them in the plastic or whatever. So we'll see if it works out. Apparently there's some kind of a market.
Yeah, it sounds like you might have struck gold here. I am curious to see like how much he spent on them originally, though.
Yeah, that's a really
because that's
good
how
question.
he is going to get his profit back.
Yeah, good point. Well, maybe he'll give us an update at some one day on one of the other talk shows or something. So, clearly, I have to assume someone will ask him about that at some point. Like, how much did you spend?
Right. Yeah.
Because nobody gives a shit if you're getting 27 grand for Rocky if you spent like 300,000 on this collection.
Right. Yeah. No, I guess, and yeah, we'll see. But I do like the idea of it. I think it's cool. Or even if you just like want to like, kind of like a bookcase or whatever, just like put all the movies like in a shelf or whatever.
Yeah,
I think
but you'd need a whole goddamn room.
Well, yeah, people have like libraries and stuff.
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
just,
you're not wrong.
Just for VHSs, I like it.
If you can't move them, build yourself a movie theater. He's got the money. And then stack them up on the wall or whatever. Yeah. Fucking ball out. This week on Patreon, we had the triumphant return of Jared Borslow. It's his first time back in Austin since he moved to Wisconsin and got married. I talked to him on our ad-free Patreon exclusive episode this week about his wedding, his honeymoon, the F1 race in Austin that he's in town for this weekend, and more. Go to patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast to sign up and support our show for as little as $5 a month to access our entire backlog of ad-free exclusive premium RBP available there on Patreon. There's like hundreds of episodes you've never heard if you've never been on Patreon. The most recent one featuring J-Bone, Jared Borslow. Go to patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast today. I've got a birthday shout-out request that I just have to read because it was strange. It says, "Dearest Ross, I'm writing to you to request a birthday shout-out on 10/20, October 20th, which happens to be today, for my ex-coworker and the person who turned me on to your podcast years ago, Isaac. We aren't friends, just ex-coworkers, and I want him to know that. Also, you should update the hosts section on your website. It only lists you and Jared, and there is no mention of Stripper Kade. XOXO, Big Nasty." That's one of the weirder birthday requests I've ever gotten.
Yeah, had to make it known that they aren't friends.
Not friends. But he wants to make sure Isaac gets a birthday shout-out because he's an ex-coworker who turned him on to RBP. Thank you, Big Nasty, for writing in on behalf of Isaac. Happy birthday, Isaac. And also, happy birthday to Kayla Tucker. And also, yeah, we'll update the website. I just never look at the website. I don't know if anybody does.
No, your wife texted me today. She's like, "Hey, can you write a short bio?"
Oh, no shit?
Or whatever. Yeah, so I need to do that at some point.
I wonder if she also saw this birthday request from Big Nasty somewhere and was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah,
it's possible,
maybe,
I guess.
or like that's just like a huge coincidence.
Yeah, that'd be really weird. Now I'm gonna have to ask her about that. Please support our sponsors by hitting the links in the description of this episode and using our dedicated codes. That's how we pay the bills here at Bolen Media. You can find the links to all of our sponsors for today's show in the description below. To check out our other shows, go to bolenmedia.com, where, of course, we've got Jared's F1 show, Formula Bone, covering every single F1 race with the exception of the ones that took place while he was on his honeymoon, with a preview and a recap. He's got one for the USGP that's taking place this weekend in Austin, Texas, and his coverage will probably be even more extensive than usual since he will be there representing Bolen Media and Formula Bone at the racetrack, I believe starting today.
Yeah, they have their practice,
whatever.
then they have qualifying, and then they have a sprint race on Saturday. So it's like a little mini race before the actual race on Sunday.
Nice. Follow at Formula Bone on social media for coverage of all the latest stuff in the world of F1. Plus, go to youtube.com/@FormulaBone and subscribe with over 100,000 other F1 fans for every video that J-Bone drops. Check out Oysters, Clams, and Cockles if you're a TV and film fan, like Pete Davidson apparently is. Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, hosted by myself with my best friend of over 20 years, Mr. Barrett Dudley, which you can find wherever you find RBP. And like I mentioned earlier, if you're a Houston sports fan looking for more Astros, Rockets, or Texans coverage with some humor mixed in, Banging the Can is for you. Go to bolenmedia.com/shop to grab yourself some RBP merch. Get a Horny for Sunset shirt. We're back in sunset season at my house where I can actually see like the good stuff again. So I've been looking forward to that, Kade.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WR Bolen. Kade, where can the people follow you?
You can follow me on all the social media platforms at Kade Orris. That's KADEORRIS.
This episode of RBP is presented by Bolen Media, and video of today's show was produced by Kade Orris, which you can watch at youtube.com/@the Ross Bolen Podcast, where every episode is available in full video. There are also funny clips known as YouTube Shorts there as well. We'll be back next week with another public sponsor-based episode just like this one, and then again on Friday. Oh, by the way, Jared will be on the show on Monday. Since he's still going to be in town, we're going to go ahead and knock out an RBP with J-Bone that'll be available for all of you. But if you want to tune in and hear about his wedding and his honeymoon and what he's been up to in Wisconsin, you got to go to Patreon for that. Anyway, we'll be back next week on Patreon as well. Patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast with another ad-free exclusive episode just like we do every week. Until next time, peace be with you and also with you.